Should you release a single or a 5 to 8 song EP or like a 10, 12, 14 song album? I don't know. Let's do this. Hey everybody, it's Pat and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I make all sorts of videos around creating music, such as tips, tricks, tutorials, and the occasional discussion about releases. It's a really important part of being a musician. If you're a recording artist or a producer, anything like that, you're gonna have to release music. And right now I think it's a really important discussion to have. Do you release a single every month or every 6 months? Do you release EPs, or do you just make an album every year, every 2 years, or anything like that? There are a lot of different factors that can come in, but I have this discussion almost on a weekly basis with my brother. You see, I'm in a band with my brother called Brother Nova, and we're currently recording an album, and we're always sort of having this discussion about the amount of songs we want to include on the record. Now, the reason why I think we should put out a shorter album is based on experience. I'll explain that in a second, but first I want to reassure you that there's sort of no wrong answer. If you have one song and you want to release it, just go ahead and release it. That way you establish yourself as an artist on Apple Music and Spotify. You can make a music video on it, establish a YouTube channel, all that stuff. Just get that song out there if that's what you want. If you have 3 songs or 4 songs, to be honest, just do the same. If you want to release them, release them. But if you have like 20 songs and you think they're all awesome, maybe you should probably make 2 releases, or 3 releases even. And obviously, if you have like 12 songs and you feel like that's your album, that's your story, that's what you want to put out, just do that. I'm not here to tell you that that's a bad idea. I just want to tell you about the different experiences I've had doing each of them. So I've released singles and EPs and full albums and sort of what the result is. And maybe that way it'll help you get a better idea of what you should do if you have some songs in your pocket and you want to release them. So let's start with a full album. In 2011, I was in a band called Bad Captain, and we released an album called Where We Belong. It had 10 songs on it. Even though I had more songs composed for it, we landed on 10 songs. In 2011, streaming wasn't really a thing. You still had to go on iTunes and buy your records. The reason why we went for 10 songs is because usually albums were around $10. If you were around in the 90s or any time before the sort of music industry crash happened, albums used to be $15, $16. Once Napster came around and people started sharing music, people still downloaded full albums. They downloaded the albums that they listened to on CD or that came out, and sort of the music industry was in this sort of weird phase where you still had these record stores, but this, you had no online stores. And anyway, eventually Apple arrived with what they thought was the solution and made every album $10 and every song $1. Put 10 songs on your album, $10, makes sense. But what's really interesting about that release, I can see that the first song is the most played one. And the further down the track list you go, the less plays there are. What that means is that most people start listening to the album, and then as it goes on, they just stop listening. Maybe it's because the album isn't good enough or just gets worse as it goes on, but I think it's probably more a manifestation of what I think the trend is. And that is, if people don't know your band, they're gonna start listening to your stuff, maybe give it 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then if they like it, they'll add the album. If they don't like it, they'll just stop listening. That's why the more you go down the track list, the less people pay attention. And that's why I think like a 6 to 8 song album, or EP in this case, is the sweet spot. Now last year in 2018 with my new band Horse Dog, we released an album that was 7 songs. It's about 30 minutes. It starts with an intro, then a couple songs, and that's it. After 30 minutes, you're done. And when I look at the numbers for that album, you can see sort of the same trend, but it's definitely not as sharp. The reason behind that, I think, is that maybe the first album, the Bad Captain one, is just too long. It's also why I think the 30-minute album is perfect. It's in that sweet spot. You look at the 6 tracks, you're like, all right, that's not such a big time commitment. I can give this band 30 minutes, I can give them a chance. You listen to the whole thing, you like it, or you don't. Now, singles, I think, are a great way to introduce yourself as an artist. The only thing I think you need to think about is what your next single is, and then the one after that, and then the one after that. Because if you just release one single every year, every 6 months, you're basically swimming to the surface saying, hey, what's up? I'm Pat Flanigan, the recording artist. And then you're just sinking down as all these other people release stuff, and then you're just swimming back to the surface. You need to always sort of be at the surface, and I think maybe once a month, once every 2 months is a great release schedule for your singles. After a year, maybe you can make a collection, make an album of 10 or 12 songs, and there you go, you have your full album. Anyway, this is just based on my personal experience, having done all 3, singles, EPs, and albums, and having the discussion with my brother pretty much on a weekly basis because we're about to release something. But the main reason why I'm making this video is because I want to ask for your opinion. It doesn't matter if you're an artist or not, if you've ever released anything, I just want to know your opinion. Do you like singles? Do you like EPs? Do you like albums better? Let's say you don't know the band. Would you rather have a full, 14-song album or like an 8-song album? I'm just curious to know what your opinion is so that I can make up my mind and finally end the argument with my brother. But that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it useful. I hope that I sparked, a single or maybe 2 comments in the comment section. That would be nice. If you enjoyed the video, don't be afraid to leave a like on your way out. Maybe subscribe if you haven't done that already. Here are some more videos for you to watch if you want to stick around. Otherwise, thanks for watching this one. I'll see you next time.